You know, we all have to come from somewhere. I came from a community in 1975 that didn't have paved roads, didn't have indoor plumbing. Only three people were working, maybe 3% of the population. And when there was icy snow and rain, our roads were not plowed. It took us days to get out. We had to basically beg for the plows to come back. Flash forward 9 years later, I became a journalist, graduated in '86, and the last 41 years have been entertaining the public. In the case of this guy, his life is no comparison to mine. Mine is minuscule compared to this guy. Were it not for him being caught stealing chickens, he would not become probably the most important baseball player in Bellefonte, Pennsylvania of all time. So today, Ryan Thompson, our great follower and friend of the channel, has made a big request. The big man, John Montgomery Ward, now known as well as John Ward, born March 3rd, 1860, El Bellefonte, known as well as Monte Ward, was American Major League Baseball pitcher, shortstop, second baseman, third baseman, manager, executive, union organizer, owner, and author. And in his spare time, he slept. Ward, of English descent, was born in Bellefonte, Pennsylvania, and grew up in Renovo, Pennsylvania. He led the formation of the first professional sports players union and a new baseball league, the very respected Players League. When he attended the Bellefonte Academy in the early 1870s, at 13 years of age, he was sent to Pennsylvania State University. In his short time there, he helped jumpstart a baseball program and is often credited for developing the first curveball. However, he was kicked out of school for pushing an upperclassman who attempted to haze him down the flight of stairs, and also stealing chickens. There was no idea if he was eating them or just harvesting them. Now, the following year, in 1874, 14 years old, his parents James and Ruth died. He tried to make it as a traveling salesman, but when that proved unsuccessful, he returned to his hometown. There he rediscovered baseball. As an 18-year-old in 1878, the semi-pro team for which he was playing folded, which opened the door for him to move on to a new opportunity. He was offered a contract to pitch for the Province and Grays of the still new National League, an all-professional major league that had begun operations in 1876. Now, his first season with the Grays was a successful one, going 22-13 with a 1.51 ERA. He played that season exclusively as a pitcher, but during the following two seasons, he played increasingly in the outfield and at third base. Ward had his two finest seasons as a pitcher, going 47-9 with 239 strikeouts and a 2.15 ERA in 1879, and 39-24 with 230 strikeouts and a 1.74 ERA in 1880. Shohei Ohtani could kiss his arse. He pitched nearly 600 innings each year, 587 in 1879, 595 in 1880. As a 19-year-old pitcher, he won 47 games and led the 1879 Providence Grays to a first-place finish. In 1880, he began to play other positions. On June 17, 1880, he pitched the second perfect game in baseball history, defeating future Hall of Famer Bud Galvin and the Buffalo Bisons 5-0. Lee Richmond had thrown baseball's first perfect game just days before on June 12th. The next perfect game by the National League pitcher would not happen for 84 years when Jim Bunning pitched a perfect game in 1964. Ward also has expanded his leadership role, including managing, when he became a player manager for the team's final 32 games, winning 18 as the Grays finished in second place. Now, the seasons of 1881-82 were the first virtually which he played more games in the outfield than he pitched. This was due to a nagging arm injury that he originally incurred sliding into base. He still pitched well when he did pitch, winning 37 games over these two seasons and having ERAs of 2.13 and 2.59 respectively. Now, on August 17, 1882, he pitched the longest complete game shutout in history, blanking the Detroit Wolverines 1-0 in 18 innings. By this time, however, the Grays felt his best days were behind him, and he sold their former ace Earler to the New York Giants. Now, Ward moved to New York NL Club in 1883. An injury to his right arm while running the bases during the 1884 season ended Ward's pitching career. As he could not wait for his arm to heal before he returned to the field, he taught himself to throw left-handed so he could play center field for the remainder of the 1884 season. He replaced Jim Price as the Giants manager for the final 16 games of the 1884 season. With his arm fully healed, he became the everyday shortstop in 1885. Now, when he graduated from Columbia Law School in 1885, He led the players in forming the Brotherhood of Professional Baseball Players, the first sports labor union. Ward and the players had become frustrated with the owner's reserve clause, which allowed him to sign players to one-year contracts and then not allow them to negotiate with their teams when those contracts expired. The players felt that the owners had absolute power. At first, the players had some success, gaining the freedom to negotiate with other teams when they were asked to take a pay cut by their current squad. In October 1887, Ward also made headlines by marrying actress Helen Dovre. In 1888, after the Giants had finished first in the NL and had won a playoff series known today as a World Series, they played the Browns of the AA for the Dovre Cup, named after, of course, his actress's family, which was again also named after the family of Ward's wife. Ward then captained an all-star team, which, paired with Cap Anson's Chicago club, headed off on a barnstorming world tour organized by Albert Spalding that visited Australia, Egypt, and Europe. The owners had their winter meetings and created a classification system that would determine the player's salary. Under the system, the most a player could earn was $2,500, which is equivalent to $89,000 in 2024. The Giants then sold Ward to the Washington Nationals for a record price of $12,000. Ward was furious and left the tour early. He then demanded a meeting with the owners and said he would refuse to play for Washington unless he received a large portion of their record sale price. Washington eventually refused payment on transaction, nullifying the deal. The owners also denied Ward's request for a meeting to discuss a new classification system, saying no talks would be held until after the upcoming season. Though Ward and the union fought hard for these issues, this did not distract him or his Giants team, as he at 299 helped the Giants capture their second straight World Series title in 1889. Amidst Ward's commitments as a ball player and union organizer, he still found time for a third occupation, that of author. His 1880 seminal book, Baseball, How to Become a Player with the Origin, History, and Explanation of the Game, was the first published effort to explore baseball's development form in its early roots. Now, as in relation to the Players' League, Ward realized that negotiations with the owners were going nowhere and threatened to create a Players' League. The owners thought of it as nothing more than an idle threat, but I had failed to realize Ward's connections in the business community, and he began to launch the new league. This new Players' League included a profit-sharing system for the players and had no reserve clause or classification plan. Now, the season began in 1890 with over half of the NL's players from the previous years in his ranks. Ward acted as a player-manager for the Brooklyn club, nicknamed the Ward's Wonders, and finished 7th in the league with a .335 batting average. While the Players' League drew well at the box office, the team's owners grew nervous when the money did not come in as expected because of the profit-sharing system. Soon they began holding secret meetings with their National League counterparts and one for one sold their teams to the rival league. Now, due to the agreement after dissolution of the Players' League, he stayed in Brooklyn as player manager for the National League team, the Brooklyn Grooms. Following the 1892 season, he expressed his desire to return to the Giants and was sold his former club for $6,000. Despite his declining bat, he led the league in stolen bases in 1893. Following the 1894 season, he retired at the age of 34. He finished his career with a .275 average, 2,104 hits, and 540 stolen bases. He's also the only man in history to win over 100 games as a pitcher and collect over 2,000 hits. Now, when he retired from baseball at age 34 in order to enter the legal profession, as a successful lawyer, he represented baseball players against the NL. Later, he acted as president of the Pardon Order of the Boston Braves franchise and became an official in the short-lived Federal League in 14, acting as a business manager of the Brooklyn Tip-Tops. In the last quarter century of his life, Ward's sporting passion became golf. He won several titles around New York, played all over Europe, and competed regularly in the United States Golf Association's U.S. Amateur. He finished second in the prestigious North and South Amateur Championship at Pinehurst Country Club in North Carolina in 1903. The North and South Amateur was the equal of any major golf event at the turn of the century. The first North and South event took place in 1901. Ever the organizer, he was one of the founders of the New York Golf Association and the Long Island Golf Association. Now, a lot of people were wondering at the time what made him so special to connect with a lot of people. And you look at somebody like Roger Staubach with the Dallas Cowboys and post-career in real estate. A very interesting article on Ward came out, I read, I think about 20 years ago, talking about his acumen as an organizer. He said there's athletes out there, even in the current area, they're just as adept in business as they are as a player, because the same things applies. Preparation, knowing your opponent, knowing what works and what doesn't work, making tough decisions. Roger Staubach, how he redeveloped real estate in Canada, United States, especially in the Toronto area, that was a reference to Ward. And I know it sounds weird because if nobody ever did something before, and I give an example, I was the first journalist to come from my region to ever have 40 years in as a journalist, total. So I'm a trailblazer. I'm not the greatest journalist in the world, but I was prepared. I go to events early, leave late, make contacts. That's why I do this channel. This is just kind of an expansion of my print and radio and TV career. And like I said, I'm motivated by the people to help me out, just like him. See, he's a million times better than me, but the same things apply. What applies in life, if you are prepared and willing to take a risk, results will happen. Now, when Ward died in Augusta, Georgia, it was the day after his 61st birthday, after a bout of pneumonia on March 4th of that year. He's interred in Greenfield Cemetery in Hempstead, Long Island, New York. Named in the honor rolls of baseball in 1946, he was elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame by the Veterans Committee in 1964. He was inducted to the Suffolk Sports Hall of Fame in Long Island in the baseball and historic and recognition categories with the class of 2000. So, roughly speaking, Shohei Ohtani has nothing on this guy because Shohei Ohtani, God bless him, very talented. But if you can win 20 games of the season and steal 50 bases and such, so looking at the rough numbers, ladies and gentlemen, he only had his biggest season was at the tail end of his career, and he stole 111 stolen bases in 1887, batting .338, scoring 114 runs and 184 hits, 53 RBIs, and again hit the occasional home run. But the pitching numbers, ladies and gentlemen, cannot even be compared to Shohei Ohtani because Ohtani will never reach this level. Between 1878 and 1883, 22, 47, 39, 18, 19, and 16 victories. He had 37 starts, then 60, 67, 35, 33, 25. Complete games, 37 starts, 37 complete games in 1878. 60, 58, 67, 59, 35, 32, 33, 30, and 25, 24. It also had a lot of games finished. 8 shutouts in 1880 and had 3 saves in that batch too as well. So you're looking at the 1879 season, which I think is one of the greatest pitching seasons of all time. 47 and 19, a 2.15 ERA, 70 games, 60 games started, 10 games finished. So he's doing relief. 58 complete games, 2 shutouts, 1 save, 587 innings pitched. Okay, 140 earned runs, only gave up 5 home runs, 239 strikeouts. If you can tell me if Ohtani will ever reach that number, for Ohtani, comparable numbers be 25 victories and 300 strikeouts, because with the current system. But I mean, the idea of Monte Ward, or what do you want to call him, John Ward or John Montgomery Ward, boys of boys, ladies and gentlemen, we will never see the likes of those type of players like him ever again. So just a recap here. MLB debut July 15, 1878. Last game September 29th, 16 years later for the Giants. 275 career average, 26 home runs, 867 runs batted in, 540 stolen bases, of course, at 111, 164, 103, 210 ERA, and 925 strikeouts. With the Providence Grays, 1878 to 82, Gotham's Giants, 83 to 89, Brooklyn's Ward's Wonders, 1890, Brooklyn Grooms, 1891-92, Giants, 93-94. Manager with the Providence Grays, the New York Gothams, Brooklyn Ward's Wonders, Brooklyn Grooms, and New York Giants. He was NL wins leader in 1879, ERA leader in 1878, NL strikeout leader in 1879, two-time National League stolen base leader, 87 and 92, pitched a perfect game again on June 17, 1880, 2 unofficial World Series titles, and of course the induction in the Hall of Fame. Put it this way, we've had a lot of great players in the modern era, but you imagine what Montgomery Ward would make as a player nowadays. 100 million? 80 million a season? Possibly. If somebody can give you 25 wins and can steal 60 bases. Like a lot of people talk about this, and like Ohtani is great. He hits good. He's a good pitcher. But when has he ever stolen the base? Like, okay, to me, the ultimate player will cross over 20 wins, 30 stolen bases, 100 RBIs, 30 home runs. To me, that would be the marquee. But Babe Ruth, again, the legacy, 160, 170 RBIs, we'll never see that because Murderers Row, the Yankees, nobody could beat them. The only people could beat them is themselves. Or like too many drink or whoring around or drinking. But I mean, Montgomery Ward, I read about this guy when I was 7 years old. So Ryan Thompson, thank you for making requests. We rely on good people like him to remind us of the history of the game. But you got to understand, ladies and gentlemen, to know your history. They did a TikTok several weeks ago I saw from the States talking about the greatest brother combinations of all time. No mention of Maurice and Henri Richard. Like the most titles. They have the most titles ever combined for brothers in hockey history. Amazing how stupid people are about their history. Hopefully with this channel, if you listen to this is the first time, and check out the stories about the Providence Grays and the New York Giants like the early years. It's amazing. Because the success of Babe Ruth in the 1920s was all based of the success that people like him built in the 1880s into the 1890s. Because there were no pure superstars for baseball, media-wise, until Babe Ruth was around. But imagine the media coverage in the 1880s like we had in the 1920s. Because the 1920s was the explosion of what they call the Runyon-esque baseball writers. Just tremendous. So ladies and gentlemen, for like what we're doing here, give us a like, comment, subscribe, or share. And if you want to find out more about Monte Ward, check your local library and check the Major League Baseball archives because it is available through various facilities in Canada and States. But I'm going to tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. I would love to see him take his skill in the modern day because the pictures that I've seen of him, he meant business, ladies and gentlemen. That's all I can say. So, ladies and gentlemen, again, thanks for listening. If you like what we're doing here with our baseball podcast, don't forget requests are always appreciated and always highly considered. Bye.